You know, I gotta have my obligatory coffee in the morning. What can I say? Don't mind the Starbucks cup. It's all good. Welcome, good morning. This is Danny K, your lovable host at SonicFlare. How's everybody doing today? If you're new to this channel, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for checking it out. We cover music, hi-fi, high-end audio. We talk about a lot of music, really, because really, without music, all this equipment, all this stuff is nonsense, right? I can't stand walking into an expensive hi-fi setup or any kind of hi-fi setup, but especially an expensive one, and then I see like a stack of 20 records or 20 CDs. No bueno, right? So music is the key to life. Music is the key to making this equipment come to life and bring life about. And so that's obviously a big part of SonicFlare. But one of the things that I promised you guys when I started this channel was that I'm going to talk about all the things that really are very difficult to talk about and discuss in print, which is where I spent, close to 21, 22 years writing about hi-fi and high-end audio. And today's episode is actually part of that genre and part of that shift of mixing it up a little bit. And what I'm specifically talking about is a very cool event that I had the pleasure of being at this past week at Wes Katir and his incredible, beautiful salon, audio salon called Common Wave HiFi in downtown Los Angeles. Very cool vibe, very cool setting. It's like the old industrial part of downtown Los Angeles. And, he's built, or he has an incredible store. You guys will see, obviously, the B-roll shots that I've made on the event. And what was the event all about? Well, that's a great question. You may or may not have known that there's a company that came out of a couple of ex-Apple engineers got together probably about 3-5 years ago and wanted to kind of take ownership of a new style in-home audio hi-fi experience at a very high level. And so they launched this company called Syng. And, obviously, as the name would imply, the speakers Syng. It's a hi-fi speaker company. But it's spelled S-Y-N-G. And I'll drop the link below so you guys can check them out and stuff. And, it's their mission was, how do we take the HomePod experience, which I frankly thought, I really felt sad that Apple canceled it. I thought it was an absolutely phenomenal sounding loudspeaker. And if you got more than one HomePod, if you got two HomePods, even though it wasn't true stereo because they were still running individually as mono speakers, they just gave you that stereo experience with a very vast soundstage, etc. I always told people, if you're looking to spend anywhere below $1,000 and you don't want any of the mumbo jumbo associated with hi-fi and equipment and connecting it and speaker cables and RCA cables and where do I put this, where do I put that, and I don't want all this equipment laying around, you get a pair of HomePods and you're set, right? You can connect them to your Apple TV. It's all software driven. So, you have the hardware and then the software brought the speakers to life basically. And it's obviously all DSP and, the way they were able to create, so much bass coming out of such a small enclosure and the 360 surround field that it generated. That said, for $350, which it was when they first came out, I thought it was a phenomenal speaker. I've recommended it to so many people that were looking to get into hi-fi for the very first time, with really all they need is two power plugs, a pair of HomePods, and their iPhone or iPad, and that's basically it, right? So Syng came about trying to supercharge that experience. The speaker looks unlike any speaker, and I genuinely mean that. You'll see it in the pictures, obviously, and in the video rolls, from anything ever before that I've seen, that I'm aware of. It's a spherical, plexiglass-covered, see-through, tinted in this beautiful gray, very sort of lifestyle, high-end looking, beautifully made loudspeaker that retails for $17.99 each. and it's got 3 horn-loaded tweeter mid-range units, 2 woofers, 1 top, 1 bottom mounted. Obviously, lots and lots of DSP to make the stuff sound good, to make the stuff, create the image that it needs to from just one cell, as they call it, Syng Cell speaker. They don't call it speaker, they call it the cell. But then you can obviously add more than 1. You can add 2, you can add 3, you can add 4, you can add, I don't know exactly how many. I did request review units. They had a fantastic representative by the name of Lucy at the event. Her and I synced up right away, and I told her, I was like, wow, this is really amazing stuff. And so hopefully they will be corresponding in kind with a couple of review units. But let me tell you something. I think we are fundamentally at the crossroads in hi-fi and high-end audio. And I'm really curious to see what you guys' comments are in the video below, because I really feel that we're at a crossroads where we have the ability to continue on the path of classic hi-fi, which is, your 2-channel setup built around either new pairs of speakers, which there's a never-ending barrage of speakers coming out on the market. Everybody wants to make a quick buck. So you have new companies, you have established companies. But it's all 2-channel based. It's all the classic hi-fi, right? You have one speaker, you have another speaker. You set them up as best as you can given the surround circumstances that you have in your loft, in your office, in your bedroom, in your living room. And, you try to make them sound as good as you can. You'll need to get an amp. You'll need to get a preamp if you get separates. You'll need to get some kind of a source or a streamer or a DAC that converts your Bluetooth from your phone or your tablet or whatever. Or you get a record player, obviously. And so that's what I call like the traditional hi-fi setup, right? Or, and this is the big one, we can have a second rail that I would call the future of hi-fi and really high-end audio. And that is taking advantage of all the incredible computer processing power that's available today in these chips that just keep getting better and faster and more efficient, able to calculate trillions of calculations, right? In a matter of seconds or nanoseconds and picoseconds even, right? And creating the software to drive the experience of creating a genuine sound field around you from the palm of your hand with your phone, with an app where you can control everything, and being able to just take hi-fi to the next level. And it's a different experience, right? I mean, I'll just come right out and say it. The traditional hi-fi guy is probably not going to care so much about this new fork on the road. I love it. I think it's awesome. I think it's what's going to save high-end audio ultimately. Because, frankly, I think we need to really start running across both rails, right? We need to keep innovating and keep driving the traditional hi-fi experience. But I also think it is high time that we take advantage of all this incredible technology around us and create a new experience that can run in parallel, right? I mean, I could totally see myself having a traditional hi-fi setup for, the incredible jazz records that you see behind me, right? Or my classic rock and classical music records and CDs. But then I also think, spatial audio, right? Apple Music just launched spatial audio. Tidal has spatial audio via their Sony 360 codecs. And so I think as we go forward, you can absolutely have both. You can have the traditional stuff, but you can also have this new way of hi-fi. And I had no idea what to expect. I mean, obviously I know what HomePod sounds like. I know what 2 of them sound like. But it's at the end of the day, it's still a relatively small speaker built for relatively compact spaces, right? as you see in the videos, Common Wave has a ginormous store that is really, it's like that old school warehouse stuff where he set up different compartments and listening sessions and spaces within that giant warehouse space. And let me tell you something, it was absolutely shocking to hear and see what these 4 cells, Syng cells, were able to create. It was unbelievable. It was like truly nothing like ever heard before. The sound was enveloping. The sound was amazing. The sound was bass. There was lots of bass. Incredible. Best of all, you could totally like zone in, like through your app on the phone. You could select the main listening spot, right? You could move it around, which is fascinating, right? Because again, it's all software driven. It's all DSP driven. And again, the traditionalist will balk at this. The traditionalist will be like, "Oh my God, what are you doing? Frank Sinatra never sounded that way. He couldn't walk around the room as he was singing and stuff." And I'm like, who cares? Were you there? Were you at the recording? Do you have any idea what it really sounded like? Guess what? You don't. You think you do, but you really don't. So I think it's all a moot point of do I love listening to Sinatra on a phenomenal hi-fi setup? Absolutely. Do I love listening to Sinatra on these Syng cells? Absolutely. Right? You can totally like both, which is, I think, fascinating. And so, without giving too much away, like I said, I will have, hopefully, very soon a review setup coming. Ideally, I'm hoping they're going to send me all 4 of them, because it was truly amazing what sound field you were able to create out of it and the experience you got. And judging just by the folks that were there and that came to the event, which was phenomenal, obviously under COVID rules, people were wearing masks, etc. Normally, Wes would have hors d'oeuvres and stuff set up, small bites, very hospitable, incredible host. As you see, a lovely, lovely setup that he has. And so, stay tuned for the follow-up and the actual review of the Syng Cell speaker system. But what I heard that night was absolutely incredible. Really recalibrated what is going to be possible with all this stuff. And so, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Please get engaged with the comments below. I'm very curious to hear what you guys think about all this stuff. I happen to believe that we can live in both worlds. We can do the hi-fi stuff traditional way, but we can also do hi-fi the new way. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking it out. We'll see you guys on the flip side. Cheers.